So my name is Demetra Kaye, and my company's name is Demetra Kaye Consulting, rather. Demetra Kaye Consulting.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, man, I got some of my favorite game to give you. You know, I get extra excited when I have a fellow consultant and public relations professional. You might recognize Demetra Kaye, Demetra Kaye Consulting. She has a YouTube channel. She also does appearances, and we're part of the same family at the African Diaspora News Channel, where we all love to serve and hear, and some of us deliver the news. Demetra, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. I'm doing fabulous. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome, because I love talking all things PR and consulting business. And so when I had found out that's what your profession was, I said, oh, hold on. Let's geek out. Let's talk PR. Give some background on, like, how did you get into PR and consulting?
Well, I will say this. I've always been a helpful person for as long as I can remember, all the way back to high school, right? And so I guess I've always been a consultant, maybe by nature, but technically speaking, I got my master's in public relations in 2014. And so I guess that's when I became official.
Wow. What made you get your master's in consulting in 2014? Because I'm going to date myself, and I just look like this, Demetra. But, you know, I got mine, I think it was 2006. And I think since then, and paying over $100,000 worth of Sally Mae back, I've told people, you do not need a master's to do what we do. Has it helped me? Sure, there's some times, but I was teaching in grad school. So what made you in 2014 go out and get it? I guess my vibe didn't get to you yet, and you didn't hear the message.
Well, I guess for me, really, because I had heard a lot of my professors saying, a bachelor's is not going to get it. You need to go out there and get you, a master's so you can go on and, do other things. Back in the day, a bachelor's would work, but now it won't. So, and also my mother wanted me to continue my education. And so I guess that's why I did it. But I'm with you. It wasn't needed, I don't think, because I rarely even tell people I have a master's.
Okay. And not that college isn't, great and it's all good to get all the education. The Nigerians have proved, keep getting education. It's just, how do you get it? And if you have to pay for it. I know some of my grad school was covered, but not all. And I wish I would have, had the foresight to have all of it. So what has having a master's, let's go on the positive side. What has it? Because I can hear some others cringing saying, Kellen, don't say that. I need my baby to go get a master's and a PhD. So what has, how has it helped you?
I don't know that it's helped me more than a bachelor's would have helped me, but I would say that I have been able to get a job being a professor in the past. So that's helped me, because you need, a master's to be able to do that. So, but I mean, I guess it's helpful if you want to get a job. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, I don't know.
Okay, and I'm still waiting. I do some guest lecturing, and I'm looking for I'm searching for my full-time position, because I just love teaching this stuff while being active. Let me ask you, when you were in college, because my situation may have been unique and different, did you find that the professors were active in their field?
Mines were as far as public relations, yes. They were active in their field. I would say for the most part, most of them were.
Okay. And again, I had a different situation where we had Mr. Pitts. He was the only guy doing voiceover who was active, who had practiced in the last, decade or two. So that's why I'm so kind of eager now to say, let me teach this so I can teach you guys the software, the tricks, the tips. I know it's not the most money in the world, but it's almost a something that I feel like I have to do. So I'm glad to hear that you two you're looking for your position. So folks, if you're looking out there for a virtual teacher, Demetra Kaye, let her teach. Now, into the YouTube world, how do you go into PR consulting and then YouTube? What made you do that?
Well, I've had a YouTube channel, oh wow, for maybe I actually started my YouTube channel when I was, going to school actually for my bachelor's for communication. So I've had it for a while, but I seriously started using it maybe about 7 years ago. But if you really think about it, consulting, public relations, and YouTube, it's all related to public speaking, right? Because there's a public speaking aspect of public relations. And so it's just kind of all worked out.
Okay. And some people will say, man, I wanted to do that, but I'm not a good public speaker. For all the great public speakers, I think we also need, those great editors and writers because, a lot of us, our dyslexia and ADHD diagnosis have had us make an excuse for ourselves and being lazy. And I'm one of those in that boat. Now, outside, how are your clients in consulting? What type of client do you like? What's the ideal client for Demetra Kaye?
Well, to be honest, the ideal client is the one that's going to pay me. No, seriously, because a lot of times you get people that they want to pay you, but they don't necessarily have it. And then, but they want you to give them, the consulting. And so you just being honest, the ones that pay, but no, really the ones that's open to learning something new. I don't like working with people who think they already know everything because it's hard to coach people who come to the game with their own instructions per se. So I like to work with people who are coachable and who are open to new ideas.
Okay, so you can't be incorrigible, folks, if you come over there. And you definitely know if you've listened to even one of my shows prior to this, I'll fire a client in a second because I just don't have the time. I want to deal with my tribe of people, whoever you look like, whatever background, but you got to want me to do what I do. So is that like one of the biggest pitfalls that you see, people coming and saying they want the world, but they don't have even a budget for a month?
Yes, I've had that. And so I'm with you. I also like to interview people before I even get started. And actually, that's what my dissertation was on. In public relations, you got to protect yourself as well, because you can have clients that will undo you, if you will, or potentially ruin your reputation. And so I feel like the interview process is a two-way street. So yeah, when I'm working with people, I want to know, exactly what is your budget, how long you want me to work with you, and what are you looking to get out of this? Because I understand some people don't have a lot of money, and so I'm able to work with that. But if you just don't see yourself paying me at least some of what I'm worth, then yeah, I'm not gonna bother.
Well, what do you think about these people who, everybody, and I mean everybody, you could come down, near Mar-a-Lago and see the big Rolls Royces and talk to the people, and they talk real big, have this company, have that company, but then they have no dough, no budget. And you say, hold on, you got a $3,500 car payment right there. People have money for what they want. So do you think it's that they don't have money, or they value their car maybe, or maybe the $5,000 mortgage on their house more than they do the business that will help pay for those bills?
Yeah, and I also think it's really they don't have a value on themselves, and they don't have a value on, me as the consultant, because they maybe don't feel like what they're asking me to do is really that valuable. And so what I do is I help people to develop a message and teach them how to deliver it to their audience verbally and visually to become more appealing. And so that is valuable. If you are not able to speak to your audience or to even be visually appealing to your audience, I mean, that's kind of the first step of getting people to understand or even know what it is you do. And so a lot of times I just find people they don't really have they don't realize it, but they don't really value that service as much.
I like how you started that. They don't value themselves. How can they value you? And for years, I struggled. I've been doing this for I'm a year away from 2 decades officially of getting paid
Wow.
on top of the table instead of underneath it. Because I started with the goons and the goblins, but
Yeah.
in music. But if that value, sometimes I love that you shared that, because I've heard that whether the professional on our side, black, white, male, female, could be a zebra in one case, that they all struggle with the same things. And it's not that people aren't doing the work. It's that you get these clients who think, oh, all you have to do is pick up the phone. All you have to do is send a mass email and, that's it. Can you talk about your forte in consulting or PR, what you like to do? Because I like to pitch all day, because I like to talk, business and network. But what's your forte, and how many hours does something like that take to do effectively for a client?
Well, my forte is grooming, if you will. So, as I said before, grooming visually and verbally. I like to work with people and get them up to par as far as speaking and how they look. Because a lot of people don't realize that a first impression is really important. So, whatever your business is, you can't come to your client looking any old kind of way, right? And I also teach people you have to be able to mirror your client, right? So you don't want to be overdressed and they're not and all that. But I like to really just teach people how to speak. And one of those things that I do is I ask them, well, so tell me about yourself. And I would say maybe 8 times out of 10, they don't know. So I'm like, if you're in an interview and somebody's saying, okay, well, tell me about, you as an artist. Uh, um, uh, so I'll help them to develop a message so that way it just rolls off. So that's one of the things I do.
Okay. I almost wanted to put you in the category of another influencer who's a self-proclaimed high-value man and say image consultant.
Don't get me started.
No, I'm not gonna go there. My relationship with so many of the influencers, I can never sometimes say names, but those who know, they know, and I know you get it. But putting that image together sounds like you want to see them from A, not necessarily when they're already at T, which I'm sure you'll take them at T or P or whatnot,
Yes.
but to really form and put that clay together. What is the least favorite thing that you like to do for the clients?
The least favorite thing. Oh wow. The least favorite thing. I don't really have a least favorite thing because I really like molding people. I will say the least favorite thing is for me to have to continue to have them have self-confidence, right? Because sometimes people will come to you, oh, okay, I want to get out there because I've worked with political candidates who didn't have any public speaking skills at all. And so sometimes it does take you to motivate them and encourage them, but I don't want to keep doing that every time we meet. Like, you can do this because you should have already been at that point when you came to me. So it's not that I dislike encouraging people. I don't like having to do it every single time we meet.
Okay. And usually that's something that their therapist needs to, deal with them, not
Right.
necessarily, being mama to everybody and sometimes
But but being a consultant, you will have to be some sort of a therapist or a nurturer, if you will, because some people need that too. They need somebody um, to maybe just help them talk through some of the issues they're having, because public speaking is not for everybody. Now, I firmly believe that most people can do it if they try.
I agree. I agree. And if they can't do it, go to Toastmasters and keep going until you can, because that's a great free way for most of the
Yes.
clubs for you to, I have an inner shyness. I'm shy in real life, but when I got to talk and put food on the table, I'll start yip, zip on a zip, zap, zip. So it's, it's okay. So, with the consulting, a lot of times you will find yourself being available in the beginning of a business where you can become a partner in the business, especially if they don't have the money. How has that worked out for you? Or is that something that you even entertain? If a client, you really love the idea, love the client, and say, you know what, you don't have all my money, but I'll take a piece of this.
I've never had that opportunity given to me, but I don't think that I would want to. Now, I have had people ask me, would I come on a board to what they're doing to help coach or with some marketing things, which marketing is not really my specialty. I know about it, but it's not really my specialty. And I've declined because I want to do my thing, right? My mom used to always say, do your thing. Don't get distracted. Don't get pulled into 100 different directions, because then you can't fully work on your business. And so I have to not do that on purpose.
Okay. And you guys, when she talks about her mother, know that her mother is also a photographer. And if you think Demetra Kaye is recognizable, it's because her mother has taken pictures of her and they've gone, out into the world. I'm talking about this black and white photo that I saw on your Instagram, Demetra, and you said, my mother was the photographer, and it looked like she was a professional. So I'm giving mama, her props for being cold on the camera. And so, with the consulting, you haven't had that opportunity. And I'll let you know, a PR tip, consulting tip, it's never given to you. You have to take it, because clients usually aren't that creative where they say, wait, you mean you'd work for free if I give you a part of this business that's not generating income? And say, yeah, but when it's generating income, I'm going to take a great portion of it. Have you seen Shark Tank? Welcome to Kellen's Tank. I need mine. So, just know that, because not to throw Black people under the bus, because we love them. And I know that your whole, platform is dedicated to the uplifting. But when we
Yes.
talk, it's something about a prophet not being respected at home. And when that person looks like you, it's the harder sell, I find, in the majority of the time, because they look at you as a family member almost. And why don't you want me to succeed? Of course you'd work 160 plus hours for me this month. Have you found ways and systems to streamline people where you can get the time wasters, the vampires out of there quickly?
Oh, yes. And that's that interview. While they think they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them as well. And so there's certain things they may say, or they may be hesitant about some things. And I'll say, okay, yeah, I don't want to do that, because I know it's going to be more work for me. And like you, I have worked with, people who just made you want to pull your hair out. So, for example, you're rendering a service, and then when it comes time for payday, it's like, oh, and I'm talking about our people now. I don't have it this week. This and that came up. The first time, you're like, oh, okay, no worries. Then the second time, then you gotta kind of get gangster. I need my money. I had one guy say, well, what do you need it for? You don't have to pay your rent or nothing, do you? And I'm like, why is that your business? I need you to pay me my money regardless of why I need it. And he paid it to me.
That is funny. In the world of consulting, a lot of my mentors would say, Kellen, you're way too flashy. Your lifestyle is way too, and I'm like, my lifestyle, this is just what I'm accustomed to. This is what it is. But they said, you can't even drive certain cars around your clients, because they'll think that they're paying for that car. Like their one payment is paying for that car. And I used to listen to my mentors until I got it where I'm like the mafia now. The books ain't even open at certain times for us to take on. You can't buy your way in to this God-given gift. But I like how you said you have to get gangster. So we come from that. And so what I tell clients is we get paid up front. And if you don't understand that, I need you to go into Aston Martin or Saks or wherever and say, look, I'm going to use this product and I'll pay you later. 9 out of 10 times it ain't happening. And if it does, you're like Michael Jackson or something. You got an account that they know, they can pull from. Outside of the consulting, because a lot of times you'll say the same thing over and over. Have you looked into writing a book or courses to add on to the consulting?
As far as me taking courses, or
no, you writing them, you writing the book, you creating courses for people to get them ready, especially for those who say, I don't have your fee, but look, I got something to sell everybody personally. I'm like Grant Cardone. What? So do you have a book or maybe courses in the work for those who might not have the money, but because you've said this 100 times to clients, you're able to say, hey, check out this video and it costs $10 to view or something like that?
I have thought about writing a book. I just not seriously. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to consider. As far as, because I think, to your point, I think I know where you're getting at. If I were to have a book or a video or something, and I can send to people, hey, this is $10, because those are probably, and I hate to say it, those are probably going to be the time wasters. And so here, you buy this product from me, and you can look at it or read it at your leisure, but you didn't totally waste my time because I got something for it, and then you got something as well. So yeah, something to think about.
Awesome. And with the success that you have had, and the best is yet to come, so the success that you're gonna have, what is a community give back that you are doing or that you plan to do in the future?
Well, I always give away services. I really believe, I don't give them away to the detriment of myself, but I like to do pro bono work because, there was a time in my life when I couldn't afford certain things. And so I always, it's nothing major per se. Maybe somebody just needs to talk to me about whatever, right? And so I'll just, meet with them and help them through whatever it is issue they have. And, I'm done with it from that point.
Okay. Anybody listening to this, so you see where to go if you just need a shoulder to lean on. If you call me, if you call me, you get the automated text telling you pick your paid consulting time. And that's only because the stuff that I do, like you, and it's kind of done through organizations, maybe going into the jail cells, the prisons, the youth places, and talking to the least of these, that I say, man, I can't hang with y'all anymore, but I'll come sit and chill for a minute. As far as YouTube, what is, the most shocking thing with being on YouTube?
I could be here all day with the most shock. I think every day when I see something, I'm shocked. I would think for me, the most shocking thing is a lot of people want to gloss over the obvious, right? So instead of, let's say, clicking onto the video and watching the content, they'll go by the title alone, and then they'll comment. It's like, well, did you even click on the video to understand what the title was about? They'll say, oh, well, this is clickbait. You didn't even click on it, so how do you know? So I'm shocked sometimes at I would say people's willingness to be ignorant, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. And you have those. What about, being on YouTube and, DMs that you may get from, YouTube to Instagram to email, and also, just trying to stay entertainment and educate people at the same time? Because if you do a Jesse Lee Peterson on your channel today, the numbers spike up, and it's the mess, right? And the mess always seems to get blessed with the most eyes. So has that surprised you? And do you ever see the people waking up, or is it just going to get worse and worse?
Fortunately, I do see people waking up, and that's why I continue to do it, because I'm even more like, if it's just one, I'm okay with that, But over time, I have had a lot of people message me and say, "Oh, I didn't know that," or "Thank you for telling me that." Oh, I've learned so much, and so that's really why I continue to do it. But to your point, with Jesse Lee Peterson's, your Candace Owens, and people like that, there's a lot of money in that. There's a lot of money in misleading people, or basically affirming what ignorant people believe, because that's what your Candaces and your Jessies, they do. Their audience is white people. Let's just keep it real. So they sell them what they already believe. And so there is a lot of money in that. And I always say there is no money in the revolution. Because you think about our Malcolms and other real leaders that came before us, a lot of them died broke. And that's because they were trying to save our people, and it was really to a detriment to themselves. And so there is no money in the revolution, which is why, to your point, all the things that you're doing, you have to find other avenues of feeding yourself. And a lot of times activists, and I don't want to call myself an activist because, I really just like to educate people, but a lot of activists believe that they need to be broke in order to be honorable, because like you said, if people see you driving a nice car, they feel like, oh, I'm paying for that. So if they see an activist, I'm talking about a real activist, I ain't talking about some of those other ones out there, but they see an activist with, eating, a double scoop of ice cream. Well, how you afford that? Where you getting this money from?
Your
So,
mama.
Exactly. But a lot of activists believe that they should be broke, like that's an honorable thing. And I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people who think you should just give all of you away for free.
I agree. You can't, because it's not fair to your family, and you can't, and there's some people who have taken this activism and they've turned it into $1 million, things. And I try not to judge people's motives. I don't know what's in their heart. I just know that everybody did not get the same upbringing that I might have got, with a strong family to say, nah, you're tripping. You got how much for a school, and you saying this is all that you've done? Hold on, you're tripping. You got how many wives, and your kids are riding Bentleys, and you talking black, and it's more for show. So yeah, you don't have to be broke, because even with what you're doing on YouTube, you don't even have to have the big audience to make 6 figures on YouTube. What you do have to do is have a strategy and a plan. And I tell people, I interview every week. I'm interviewing at least one, a lot of times more than 2 or 3 multimillionaires. I say, you don't think that my network increases because I'm talking to X, Y, and Z? And, I've talked to a 13-year-old millionaire on here. He's 13. Wow. And I'm like, man, show my kids how to make this money, because I'm not going to play with stocks the way you play with stocks. The way I play with stocks is like a Raider fan should play with stocks. You buy what you buy low and leave it alone, so you don't lose at the end of the game. That's me. But I love this convo, and I want people to go check you out. I want the channel to grow. I know it will grow, and I know what you're doing, even with Phil's platform. I mean, it's a blessing, and I see those viral videos every time I smile, because you didn't have to do it with a gimmick. You just were yourself.
Right. And and I want to talk about that too, being authentic, because you mentioned the high value man who shall remain nameless. So yeah, that particular person, says they're an image consultant and all of that. And I guess I have to take him for his word, but I don't feel, and this is just me, I don't feel he's authentic. I feel like I liken him to a Candace Owens. I call him the Candace Owens of, Black relationships, because he comes off as trying to help people. But then if you really think about it, it's like, well, you're helping to cause a schism in the Black community as far as relationships, because I can't tell you how I can go on Facebook right now and I'll see a Black man talking about high valued, or the modern day woman, and Black women ain't this and Black, and I could tell that they are in the cult of the high valued man per se. And so I feel like you should be authentic. Now I believe that this high valued man is getting the bag, and he has found a niche of, most of his followers are Black men. I'm not saying all Black men, I'm saying most of his followers are Black men. He's found a niche with those particular Black men that don't necessarily like Black women much. And so he's gotten them to follow him, and in the process, he's getting rich to do it. So I'm going to be authentic regardless of how much money I make. I'm not going to sell myself out for money, and I'm not going to sell my message out, or I'm not going to sell my people out. So I may never be rich. I don't know.
Well, and what is rich to wealth, and what is wealth to just being alive and working in your purpose? I mean, that's priceless. You can't buy working in your purpose. And the individual you're talking about, I remember him years ago, talking to him, giving him some free game, and because he was brought to my circle. And we've had him on the African Diaspora Network, but privately, I'll say, nice guy. What's being portrayed on TV? It's like Jesse Lee Peterson and even Rick Santorum. Rick Santorum off the camera is actually a decent guy. A lot of politicians are. I interned on the Hill, but I met him somewhere else at a conference, ICRS, I think it was, big Christian conference, and total different person than, hey, I'm going to be on TV and I want to be popular, and so you just never know. And that's why I tell people, be careful how, what you say about these people, because half of them aren't even who they really are. A lot of these tough guys in the manosphere ain't tough guys. And we've been responsible for checking some of them, because we don't play that. Talk about people's wives or children and be seen. I'll leave it at that, because we want to keep it positive. But like the high value, just talking about what the Black manosphere is saying about high value, and not just one person. There's barbers who don't even own their shop who think they're high value. That's why I find this comical. That you think because you make six figures, I tell you what, I just said the 13-year-old who's making six figures, six figures is broke when you're dealing with people who are in venture funds, whatnot. And if you're a qualified investor, you're talking about six figures. If you don't have six figures, you can't even get in this fund. You're not even invited to the party. If I'm about 17 minutes from Mar-a-Lago. Without $200,000 and an invite, you can't even get in. If that's even high value, because the man who owns it, I don't know if you'd call that high value with a low moral compass. And that's my Irish twin.
Right.
Both born on the same day, read every book he wrote before he went crazy and political. But so, yeah, I definitely get it. And I can see you were raised in like the church. Like, what do you think that somebody thinks that because they made six figures and can't even form a sentence? Or, what do you think about that man who says, oh, I'm high value because I make six figures for the last 3 years? What is your opinion?
Well, I think, especially with the ideology that this particular high value man is teaching, he's teaching people to be a shell, a facade. You are high valued if you're making excellent equal, because his definition is $10,000 per month makes you high value. It's like, okay, but what about what's inside of that person? Because he also teaches them, or tries to tell women, to accept that your man is going to cheat on you if he's high valued, right? And so you're saying that he's making $10,000 a month and that makes him high value, but he has, like you say, a low moral compass because he's, unfaithful. So he's not really teaching these men to be well-rounded, if you will. So no, the amount of men that I see on social media with this high valued man attitude, and then sometimes I go to their page and I'm like, dude, no shade because we all need them. You are a janitor, okay? That's the kind of stuff that just perplexes me. Like, he's really got you thinking you're high valued, and you come. Then I said the men that follow him have about 4 questions. How tall are you? What's your dress size? How much you weigh? How many kids you got? I said, is that all you're taught that a woman is? Is just those 4 things? So yeah, it's nonsense.
Yeah, no, I agree because you have 6-figure. I have a friend, and when we were all in college, and he's like, me, I didn't no time to go to college. I'm a 6-figure garbage man in San Francisco, and if he would never confuse himself for high value because he was so low brow and just low class. I mean, from the same Bay Area, all that, but not high value just because of the money you make. And it's interesting how people put so much value because the money you make could be taken in a blink of an eye. And then what are you, trash because you don't make this amount of money? And I think we're all high value because you're God's creation. I'm definitely not a perfect person, and I'll prove it to you if you stand around me too long or too close. So I find it interesting, but he's securing the bag. And at 50 something years old, if that's the way you got to do it, same thing with Jesse Lee Peterson. I watch it really with both of them as comedy, and other people, not just them. And I'm like, this is comedy, especially if you know certain things about people that you would never tell. I remember meeting Jesse Lee Peterson and saying, this guy ain't who he portrays to be, but he's found a way to secure the bag. And if not for that, maybe Jesse Lee Peterson will be on Skid Row. The same Skid Row. He has a church, he does
Really?
some good. Yeah, he's a pastor. He has his own church in LA. I don't know. And he's had a nonprofit for over 30 years that helped men, regain their manhood, the same stuff he preaches. So maybe that's really him. And I sometimes think if you have Jesse Lee Peterson, or if you have Cardi B, or, the Future, who would you rather people be? A serial impregnator or Jesse Lee? Again, I have my own issues, so I really can't judge because I just hope that people realize what they're doing, more good than bad.
Right.
So that's the game. And I don't want to, be on my high horse and, if you're really high value, you do this, this, and this. And how many homes do you own? How many investments do you have? Oh, none. Okay. I don't think so, but I'm going to take this conversation offline so we can really y'all shoot the tea. I can't give you what I want to tell Demetra because I got, relationships. And if I say the wrong thing, somebody will call me and say, hey, you're talking about my daddy. So you guys share, subscribe. We're going to take this off air, and thank you for being a guest.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you.